Hello and welcome to the Work Hates podcast. I'm Bron Lewis. This is Breddy Blake. Everyone has a nightmare work story, whether it is a dreadful boss, a shitty workplace, or an insufferable colleague. And if you've had none of those things, chances are you're the problem.
Yep. Today we are joined by comedian, Porsche owner, psychologist, first-class business flyer, and all-around good bloke, Doug Chappel, everybody. You're the only comedian who has a Porsche, and you said it's a tax write-off, and I'm still like, I don't understand how. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not putting this on air, eh?
No. I'm just joking.
No. I've actually never been introduced. That's it. Every time I've never been introduced as Porsche. What do you have in top episode? A little Matchbox Porsche.
Yeah, it's a toy.
And a little, yeah. No, but it's a company car.
It's a beautiful car, though. You're probably the only comedian who actually looks like they do well and does. The rest of us are just scumlords, you know? And Doug rocks up in this beautiful car. I'm like, fuck.
And every second post you make on Instagram is you sitting in business class. Everyone's like, fuck it.
I don't know. I was like, are you getting a different rate to me on P&O? What's going on here?
Okay, well, the car's actually Hughesy's. I stole it.
Yeah, you stole Hughesy. Okay, now it all makes sense. As if Hughesy would lash out on a car. He drives a Hyundai Getz or something embarrassing.
He parks wherever he wants, okay, because he's not scared of parking tickets, and you wouldn't be if you're filthy rich. So I've done gigs with Hughesy where he walks in, he's like, I'm in a 2-minute zone, so when am I on? And they're like, oh, you can go on straight away, and he goes, oh, I don't mind. It's like, what? If I was in a 2-minute zone, I would just not turn up. I'd be like, I can't come.
Attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Doesn't care.
He parked at the front of a gig and left his hazards on the road. And then went down and did his spot and made a room booker sit in his car while he was on.
Really?
Yeah. Do you make anyone do that in your Porsche, Doug?
No.
I'll drive off in it. It's the most I'll get paid in a year.
It's funny. I always normally get introduced as like working class guy, it's first.
What's the flip?
I feel weird now.
That's why I can say it's because you are working class and then you've earned it all yourself, which I love. It's inspiration for the rest of us, you know. So it's not like you were born in first class and driving around in a Porsche. It's the other way around. You've worked hard for it, and I love it.
I feel really wanky now, by the way. Thanks, guys.
No way. No, you shouldn't. No, we've been really excited to have you on. We've wanted so this will be like our 24th episode, I think, or 23rd. And we've wanted you on since the start, and it just nothing has aligned because you're always touring or Brett's asleep, and it's been so nice that this is finally happening. We're so excited that you're going to be on because we know you have got a long history, a very rich, fruitful history of not only employment but life experience as well. I don't think that anyone would accuse you of coming from an easy, wholesome family. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I suppose my family, I don't know. Yeah, wholesome, I suppose.
Wholesome,
it's wholesome in a different way. Wholesome. When we were just chatting before, didn't you say, was it your dad or your uncle was in jail?
Brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law for 15 years.
Well, my dad was in jail too, but my brother-in-law was,
And you're one of how many kids?
Well, I just found out I got a brother.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You know.
What, today?
No, yeah, just
way to break the news to the family. Yeah. Hi, Tyson. Guess what? You got an uncle.
I got a brother that I found out like 12 months ago. I got a brother.
What?
Yeah.
And have you met him yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you look alike?
No, I think he looks like my dad. He's probably more like my dad than I am.
So your dad has how many kids?
2.
Just 2?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're an only child. Growing up, you were an only child.
No, I got sisters. I got sisters. I got sisters as well. But
okay.
So,
you got sisters. Your mum's got daughters. Yeah, got it. So, how many kids? Like whether it's from mum, dad, together, whatever. How many siblings have you got?
4. Three.
There's 4 of you. Sorry. Okay, so you got 2 sisters.
Yeah.
And then you've just found out you got a brother.
Yeah.
That is wild because you've never been because you call everyone brother, and now you actually can use it correctly. Yeah. That must blow your fucking mind.
Is it weird though, like going, have you just like tried to reconnect and, hang out or is it just like it's a bit edgy or how is it?
Oh, look, I love it. It's strange. Like he's older. He's actually the same age as my sister. And so they're older and stuff. So I always felt, because I was always like the youngest.
Okay.
And so my sisters are a bit older than me. So it's strange. It's strange, but it's good. And it's funny because I said to him, where were you like all the times like I was getting bullied at school and getting beat up? I could have used an older
Give
brother.
Give me a list of their names and he'll go back and flog them for you. Yeah, that would rule.
So did he know that you existed?
No.
Did he know that? Oh, no, because it wouldn't have mattered.
And I'm supposed to have another brother, apparently, as well.
What do you mean you're supposed to? Where is he?
Well, my dad years ago, someone said that he had another child and that as well. So.
Oh, so you might do.
Yeah.
He might be
Dad's
on there.
getting around. Dad's busy.
God, Dad.
There might be a whole Netflix documentary on, like, find out there's like 12 brothers that didn't have
And
knew
also,
they knew
he's
each other.
that,
got
though.
really good numbers considering someone who was in jail for such a long period of time. You know, he's out there.
I know that was my brother-in-law, but Dad was. I probably shouldn't talk about this on thing, but yeah, but Dad, my dad has been in jail, but my brother-in-law was in like for a while.
Yeah,
nice.
because you say that in jest, like this could be a Netflix thing. But honestly, I think that your life could actually be a Netflix.
I don't even know which ones are stories about you that have been made up, or I've made up, or. But we're gonna find out about a few of them today. Now, your work history. Did you go straight into comedy? What was your first job as a kid?
My first job, my first job as a kid, probably working at Coles New World. Yeah.
Checkout or trolley?
And I was really bad because back then I was probably, this sounds so bad. So back then, because I didn't have a very structured sort of like, because my dad he worked in the meatworks, but he would sort of work when he sort of like, there'd be time when there wasn't work and then he'd go away and, wouldn't see him for like months or he'd take off and go to different states and stuff. So, so you wouldn't sort of see like that sort of 9 to 5 everyday sort of job. So when I first started working, it was hard for me to sort of form like that sort of work ethic because I wasn't used to it. When I was there, I'd work hard, but I just didn't. Well, perfect example, when I was, one of my first jobs, I was working for about, 6 weeks, and I think it was Pulp Fiction come out, some film come out, and I wanted to go see it with my friends. So I rang up work, and I said, I can't come in today. And they go, like, why? I said, because I'm going to the movies.
Obviously, Pulp Fiction's out. I'm not coming in. And the movie looks sick. Have you not seen the trailer, you fucking idiot?
Do you want to come? Just close the shop. What's the big deal?
And then the guy's going, what? You're going to the movies? He goes, no, seriously. Well, why can't you come in? I'm like, I'm going to the movies. And he goes,
did I stutter?
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, is he joking?
This guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking. He's gone, mate, he goes, you can't have a day off to go to the movies.
Oh.
I said, you don't expect me to work every day, do you? And he's like, yeah, I do. I said, well, I'm going because I've already booked it, right? So I went to the movies.
You still go. You double down.
So we go to the movies. I show up at work. He calls me in the office and he goes, now, if it's a personal matter, right, let me know. And it's okay if you don't want to talk about it. But I need to know, why didn't you come in yesterday? I'm like,
oh my God.
Is this being filmed or what? I said to you, I'm going to the movies, right? He goes, well, I'm not paying you. I said to my dad, mate, I told my dad what happened. He goes, mate, the guy's a dickhead. Don't worry.
He's an idiot. You're fine. You're fine. A great excuse.
That is fucking awesome, though. Going like, you don't expect me to come every day this week. I said more people should have that attitude when it comes to it. Like, fuck it. Pulp Fiction's a good film. I reckon you made a good decision.
Yeah.
He didn't fire you?
No. I end up getting fired. I ended up getting fired later on, but
if not for that.
Well, I'll tell you, this is So again,
I feel like this episode's going to go for 2 years, and I can't wait.
There's so many. I'm trying to cut these short because I don't want to like babble on about stuff because I talk a lot. I can't help myself.
It's a podcast, mate. This is the medium for it. Go nuts. I've got 8 hours on this card. Go nuts.
Every time I do a podcast, I go, it's like an hour, so we might have to like stretch it out.
Yeah.
And we get to like 55 minutes. I'm like halfway through one story. They're like, oh, mate, we've got to wrap this up, Dougie.
They're dehydrated. And it's like, man, we're running out of memory on this thing.
Yeah. No, so what happened was the boss had a new car. So I was doing deliveries. I was delivery driver and for a plumbing supply. And the boss got a new car, a company car. And it was brand new. And it was I think it was a Supra or something. It was like a sports model and stuff. I've never been in a brand new car before. Right. Growing up, we didn't have a car. We had a car for maybe 6 months and my dad crashed it.
Your dad is wild.
I reckon we get your dad on a bonus episode.
That'd be great. That'd be great on it. And my dad talks more than I do. And he loves it too. He loves the camera as well. Never been in a brand new car. So this was like exciting for me. So I'd just look at it. I look through the window. I go, how cool this be? And when he got it, he pulled up and went inside, sat in it. I smelt it. I said, new car smell. This is fantastic. But because I've done these delivery, like when the utes, we do, deliver all the plumbing supplies, all the utes were out, all the drivers were out, and I was actually just in the warehouse cleaning up and stuff. And the boss calls me over and goes, there's one of the deliveries, they left off a little, like one of the fittings or something, but the plumber really needs it. He said, can you take my car, go down there, right, and drop it off? He goes, but... Right, he goes, it's brand new and it's a building area, like a building site.
Yeah,
Right. And he
shit
said,
everywhere.
there's they're building new houses, and he goes, but make sure you don't run over anything. Make sure there's no like
Shit on the
dust
floor,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make sure don't get it dirty.
In fact, don't even go anywhere near the construction site. Park on the main road and fucking walk.
Actually, jog. You jog with this. Don't touch it. Yeah.
So I actually said, I go, yeah, okay. And I got it, and I was really nervous driving it, right? And I was really careful with it, and I get there. So I drop it all off. Didn't get any flats and that with dropping it off because he's worried about like nails and stuff. So I dropped it off. As I was driving away, there's a paddock. Right,
Oh my
a big
God,
empty
Dougie.
paddock.
I know where this is going.
I'm not a hoon or anything like that, but I go, this is like, it's grass and stuff. I
Very
said, I'm just going to
tempting.
drive on here a little bit and just going to feel like the power of it a little bit because I'm young. So I'm getting
So stressful.
So I'm going, vroom, I'm going, oh, this is really cool. So then I've never done donuts in my life, ever.
So much fun.
So then I start doing. So then I'm driving. No one's around because it's as I said. It's like an industrial zone where they're doing building all factories and stuff. So then I start doing these donuts and stuff. I go, this is so cool. Brand new car. Look at me. Ooh, look at me. I'm Mr. Posh. Brand new car. So I start doing these donuts. Next thing I hear this boom, right, and the car lifts up because what happened? There's a boulder underneath that. But when I hit it, right, it rolled the boulder out and the car rolled on top of it. Right. So
you're
the car's up like this.
No,
It's brand new car, right? So then I couldn't even. I was even worried about getting out because I was worried about like the car falling on me when I got out. So I end up like crawling out of the car, right? And and I ring them. I'm going, I don't know how to explain this because I sat and looked at the car on top of this boulder, brand new car, and it's all wrecked and all smashed.
Oh shit!
And I'm going, how am I going to explain this? So I ring them up and I go, oh look, I got the car bogged. Because what do you mean bogged? I told you not to go through it. I said there was a shortcut. Shouldn't have done it, but I did a shortcut over like a paddock and it's got bogged. And he goes, oh, is it all right? I said, I'm looking at it. I said, bold. I'm going,
I mean, yeah, if you kind of do it. Do you think the Leaning Tower of Pisa is cool? What do you reckon?
I go, yeah, I think it's all right. I'm looking at him going, I don't know how to explain this. I said, when one of the drivers just, when they come over to get it, I said, can you get him to bring a shovel? I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with a shovel. I don't know, like, am I trying to dig this boulder out?
Oh my
Or anything like that? And he goes, I'll come down with him, And when they pulled up, as soon as I saw him, I go, I quit. He goes, what? He's like, what did you do to my car? I go, it's all right, mate. I'll quit. I'll quit.
I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
Don't have to fire me. I quit. Please don't fire me.
Yeah, so
And did you have to pay for it?
No, well then, but because it was
quit.
I quit. And the funny thing is, he goes, mate, we fired you. And I rang up about 2 weeks later. I said, can I get a reference? Right.
The nerve.
Because it's only one incident. It was one bad
Really,
incident.
when you think of it, I mean, it's a big one.
It's a big incident.
It's a big boulder of an incident, but you're not wrong. It's only one incident.
Yeah, and he goes, we sacked you. I said, well, technically, I actually quit. I quit before, because he was yelling. And
I mean, you couldn't hear me over the yelling, but I actually quit. Yeah. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't want to put up with it. My brain just shut down. And when I just saw his face and him starting like yelling, and the girl going, man, I'm out of here.
I can't do this.
I'm out of here, yeah.
What did your dad say when you explained this story to him? Was he like...
Well, he blamed him. No.
It wouldn't surprise me.
What's he thinking giving you the car?
Actually,
it's definitely his fault.
Right.
That's definitely on him.
Well, that's on him for making a bad decision. I had a job once in Perth. It was only for a couple of days, and it was when I was at TAFE and I was doing runner for when I was doing Cert 3, the diploma kids or advanced diploma kids would get the younger Cert 3 people to be like runners or catering and shit like that. And it was at this gravel airport, and I had my big AU Series 3, beautiful car, Falcon.
Yeah.
And they're like, we had to keep driving up this airstrip, this gravel airstrip, but there was no one on it. It was so wide and so long. And then I'll just give it a little bit on the way back. And then I was like, fuck it. And then it just turned from a little bit to like doing full circle work while driving at like 60 Ks. And I just kept doing it for a week. And there was no one around. I was like, I'm the king. I nearly crashed into a tree once, but the roads were so wide. But what I didn't realize, because it was an airstrip, and rain came, and I obviously doing burnouts and fucking put holes in the ground. Water came in, and they had to the planes couldn't land on it.
Oh, wow.
So they had to re-grout the whole fucking thing, get it steamrolled, and I never admitted it was me. I was like, I don't know what happened. Like, how am I to blame? It could have been kids breaking in on the weekend. It was just me with like extras in the back, like, check this out, guys. Woo!
Oh my God. What would your dad have said about that?
wouldn't have told him, but he wouldn't have liked
Would
it.
have been someone else's fault.
Yeah. He would have been like, don't be a fucking idiot in your car. Even though he was a fucking idiot in his car. Generational. Yeah.
But that's how I started off. I'd say I didn't plan to do donuts. I'd have done it before my life. I didn't plan to do it. But then when you're there.
When you're there and you're like, that's a bit fun.
You get a bit more confidence.
Yeah.
Your boss's brand new car.
You know.
This is the time.
Yeah.
This is the time.
This is the time.
Gosh.
That already stresses me out because I've never damaged a work vehicle, I don't think. The idea of going to your boss, hey man, I fucked up your brand new car.
On a boulder as hanging over the edge. Oh, that is.
But it is his fault for giving it to you.
It's funny because now I said the boulder about this big. It was probably about like that big.
Yeah, but that all happens when you're a kid, you know what I mean?
But now, when I was young, I feel like it was so big. Yeah.
So you did Coles, you worked plumbing. Was there just a lot of like labouring jobs around
I did
school?
so many. I did door-to-door sales. I showed up.
You would have been good at that.
No, I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
You've got
almost hate
charisma.
it.
You know why? Yeah, but I don't like lying to people. And we showed up. And
What were you selling?
It was just rubbish. It was like a calculator, like little mini sort of like.
You hold it upside down, it says boobs.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, but I showed up because my friend said, "Oh, you'd be great doing it." And I showed up, and she said, "Oh, this guy, like he's a multi-millionaire, you know, best salesman ever." And he shows up in like a Honda Civic or something. I'm like, I don't know if this guy really is a multi-millionaire. And he gets there, and they're doing all the chants. I've never seen anything like it. It was like a cult.
Oh, like the Wolf of Wall Street shit.
Yeah, they all sit there and they're all going, what are we going to do today? Sell. It was like, and then they started mumbling, oh, we're the best. I thought they were going to like storm the Capitol. I didn't know what was going on. That was like,
to sell calculators?
Right? Yeah. No, they're really like getting into it. They're all cheering, chanting. And I go, man, I can't do this.
It's too much.
You know,
I'm going to steal one of your cars today.
So
can I borrow your car? There's a paddock over there, please.
And I've still got the Porsche today.
Yeah.
What do you think he's driving a Honda Civic?
Yeah. Now,
he took that from Husey.
What would before we get into comedy, because I know you've got a very exciting comedy career, what would you say is like your worst job before you got into the comedy world?
Worst job? I've had so many jobs.
Or one that just stood out?
One that I left halfway through. Again, sales. Like I did Kirby's vacuums. They got me to do that. So I sat down, they do this whole seminar. And again, it's all about like selling and, you know.
Is it in a shop or door to door?
Door to door again, and I was doing work for the Dole, and they made me go and do this like because they Kirby's go, oh, we'll give you a job, you have to do it. So when I got there, didn't I? It was like a bit of a scam. Sorry, Kirby's, but yeah,
they always are.
Yeah,
they always are. Door to doors, they're like vulnerable old people or whatever, like just bully them.
And I'm like, so when do I get paid? They go, we'll talk about that later. Later, you know. So you got to sit there. So we're sitting there, and they're going through all this stuff, how to sell and how to upsell and all that. And I'm sitting there, I'm freezing. This was in South Melbourne. And I'm sitting there and I'm freezing. I'm getting so cold and I'm just getting sick of hearing it and stuff. So I'm halfway through and I've just lost my shit. I've gone, this is so fucking cold in here. You know, they're going,
I've got to get out of here.
Yeah. I go, man, I've had it. It's freezing. What, you know, you make all this money, you can't afford fucking heating. So I just got up and just friggin' walked out. Everyone's going, what's wrong with this guy? So
and stole someone's car.
Yeah.
I love
Every story ends with you stealing someone's car.
Now, comedy, Doug. What age did you get into stand-up comedy?
I think about 22.
22?
Oh, it's young.
Yeah. So,
and then what made you think that you could do it? There's always because I started late and I'm always amazed with young people. Because Brady, how old were you when you started?
24.
Yeah, so young as well. It's like 30. I was 34, but I'm always amazed when there's like super young people. Like 22 is young, but there's some kids that started younger. Like Tyson, your son does it. How old was he when he did it?
His first gig was 8.
8, yeah.
See, that's a bit young, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which pub's letting him in?
Well, I was trying to claim him for a tax write-off. So.
Yeah, here we
Your
go.
tax bill must
There's
be
always something ticking in the back of
The
the...
maintenance, there we go, tax write-off, here's my son.
So you started pretty young. So what did you? Because you would have had. So the issue that I have with like young people starting comedy, and this is not even really an issue, is that they have very little to talk about because they're like, oh, school is hard and mum's mean, you know. And it's like, oh, it's kind of boring. But you would have had so many stories to already go at 22. Be like, I have got. I will steal all your cars because I know how to do it. But like you knew, your family would have given you so much material. Do you remember what your first gig was about?
Yeah, I did. It's funny because I never wanted to do comedy.
Oh.
Right, I was doing acting at the time.
Yep.
And I wanted to get an agent, and I said I went to a comedy show, and my friends go, "Oh, you should do this," and it was at the Espy. They used to have open mics on Sunday, and they
I think that's where Bev Killick said she started as well.
Yeah, I started with Bev. Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
And she started a little bit before me, like I think about 12 months. And but my friends go, "You should do it and stuff." And I had a few drinks, like, I could do this. So and I said, "Help me get an agent because I can say I'm a comedian." Great. So I went up, and Trev used to run. I went up and I go, "Any chance of doing any comedy?" He goes, "Oh, you done any before?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, whereabouts?" Went, "Oh, Adelaide." And he goes,
Can't confirm that.
Yeah. And he goes, "Where you sitting?" I said, "Over there." And so he come over and he goes, "You're first up." So I went out the back, and they used to have beers at the back. And so I didn't know anything about comedy at all. And back then I used to wear tracksuits and a lot of gold jewelry. Looked like Ali G. Right?
Yeah. I would love to see him.
I guess I'll show you.
Dougie from Footscray. Right, I've got to see this.
So I go backstage, and there's all these beers, and there's a guy sitting in front of the beers. I said, "Oh, can I buy a beer?" And he goes, "Buy a beer?" I go, "Yeah, can I buy a beer?" He goes, "Buy a beer?" And I thought he didn't want to serve me because how I looked, right? And I go,
but you're
"What?"
in the green room.
Yeah. And I go, "What, you don't want to serve me or something?" He goes, "Are you on?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You don't have to buy a beer. They're free." I said, "No way, really?" I said, "Yeah, can I have 4?" He goes, "Well, no, you just have 1 and then you can come back and get another one." I said, "Just in case I'm terrible and they don't like me, you know what I mean? At least I got some beers."
4? And that's when I got the 4 beers, I realised, you know what? Comedy's for me.
That's what I thought, mate. Because I went on stage and I loved it. As soon as I got on stage, I knew this is what I wanted to do. So I got on stage,
you do well?
absolutely loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was great, but no, not really. But the thing is, when I first started comedy too, I didn't talk about, I want to be more sort of open about myself, and I only started to probably the last I don't know, maybe 8 years sort of change. But because I didn't know any, because I'd lived in sort of when you sort of grow up with a certain sort of friend group and everything like that. And again, when you talk about stuff, you don't want to sort of I don't know, you don't want people to sort of see you a certain way and stuff sometimes. So when I got up on stage, I started to just mimic what you sort of see on TV.
Right. As opposed to telling, because most people, maybe some people haven't listened to the or seen you do comedy before. Like, you came from a really rough upbringing, working class, commission flat housing, have like a really unique story that no other comedian has. And did it take you a while to get some of that stuff through because you were trying to be a bit more TV friendly, I guess?
No, it's just what it was I think at the time, it's funny because there's some material that I did years ago I hate, cannot stand. But I didn't know any different at the time. So you sort of learn as you go. And I was talking to Tyson about it, like just with like when you write material, because he watched an old clip of mine or something. He goes, "Man, that was terrible." I said, "No." I said, "But what you got to understand is like the influence that you have around you at the time. You don't know any different, So comedy was really good to me because it made me reflect on my life a lot and the person I want to be, and really, really helped me, I think, be a better person, because you start to sort of sit there and say, well, I'm saying and thinking, oh, that's just a joke. Yeah. It's just a joke, but don't realise how it affects other people, like in the crowd. So it really my comedy I believe anyway, has changed a lot since I started. And there's jokes, even my best joke that I used to do, I actually cut out because, it's just inappropriate. Yeah. So.
What doesn't sit right with you anymore? I think you're allowed to have like shit jokes in your past as long as you've learned from them. Like, you know how comedy's always changing, and some people are like, oh, you can't say anything anymore. Like, some things we said, like we used to say, is you don't say anymore. You don't say anymore. And like, it's other people might do, and you're like, well, I don't think that's any funny anymore, but whatever, I'm not going to cancel you. I'm not going to come for you. But I think we're allowed to have mistakes in our past, because at the time they didn't feel like mistakes.
And it's also hard to go like when something's recorded, or even when you like Facebook comments, the things you used to say when Facebook came out, like fucking 20 years ago, 15 years ago, like just being a fucking young dickhead when you're fucking 18. Like, I had to go back and just make sure there was nothing fucked, and there was a few fucked things in there, but
absolutely.
And you're but at the time that was fucking fine.
It was fine. Yeah, when I started in comedy, someone had said, "Oh, what's your Facebook look like from like when you were early 20s?" And I was like, probably pretty bad. And I went through it. I had to delete so much stuff because I was like, I would never say that anymore. Or not even like problematic stuff, just things that I thought were funny at the time. But I'm like, that's not even funny. Like, what is it? What am I trying to do there? You go back and delete it. So, but I guess that's the problem with these days, is like, there's a recording of everything.
Absolutely.
A recording of everything. Like, this will be forever, Dougie. What we are making
I'll be deleting
right
this instantly after we hit this clip.
Absolutely forever. But so you've come so far. Well, you, as everyone does as a comedian, like you evolve over time. But do you still, like you said, like you weren't really being yourself at the start, which I don't think a lot of comedians are. Like I lent heaps into I'm a crazy, drunk mum who doesn't like her kids. You know, like I lent into that, like because you kind of find. Well, this is what I found anyway. You find like a lane, like a well-trodden track, I guess, and you go, well, that has worked for, you know, Celeste Barber, or this track has worked for, you know, Mandy Nolan or something. So, and I just tried to find one.
Stay in that path.
Yeah, saying that like it's worked, and then you kind of work, and then as you get better, your skills build up, and you go, well, I never talk about drinking anymore. So I'll go, okay, and then it evolves and it becomes something that is only your lane.
Yeah.
No one else is in that lane, and then people might follow your lane for a bit until they find their own. And when you started and you were wearing heaps of gold stuff and being like, no, and even like how defensive you were when the guy said, when you said, can I buy a beer? And he said, what? And you were like, oh, you're not going to serve me by the way I look. You're already defensive because I grew up in government housing as well. And my mum sent us to mum sent me to a private school. So like every day I was like, this is like, I hated the house we had, I hated the car we had, I hated how many kids mum had. There were so many things that, like, as I look back now, I'm like, I feel guilty that I felt
but you're just a kid as well, you know.
Just a kid, you just don't want to stand out for different reasons. So I remember being like really pushing mum to be like, I need a Discman. Everyone's got a Discman, and can I have like Doc Martens and like pushing her to buy things that she couldn't afford, because I was like, I have to not look like this is where we're from.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, because you started so young, when like your brain still wasn't fully developed, which is a 22-year-old boy, you would have still had that in the front of your mind, being like, I need to hide these things of my past, which have made you who you are today.
Well, it's funny, I sort of loved it at the time.
Oh, you did?
Because I embraced being from it. I still do. I embrace being from like the western suburbs and stuff. What made me there's still more stuff I want to talk about. Like, I want to be more honest in my comedy. So there's a whole stuff I'm working on.
I always say there's like, Dougie on stage is incredible. You're an amazing comedian. But the stories you tell people backstage, you're like, this should be in a fucking movie, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, put that out there, but I know how hard it is to be vulnerable up there sometimes. You know?
And it's hard to talk about certain things. But I embraced how, like, the person I was, but I embraced, like, the negative side of it. So I did youth work for a while before I did psychology, and just talking to some of the young people. There was one stage where I didn't talk about growing up in the West and stuff like that, because they said to get more corporate work, don't talk about being from the West and stuff like that. And so I started wearing suits and sort of changing my whole persona and doing all sort of routines about being married and having children, and it was getting me more corporate work. But when I was actually talking to some of the disadvantaged like youth that I was working with, some was so smart. And, and I just felt like, by me not talking about where I'm from was doing a disservice to everybody from those areas. So I really embraced where I am from and stuff, but I still probably lean towards the negative side of things sometimes when I make jokes about stuff, even when I make jokes about like stealing cars and stuff like that. Because what annoys me is that people still see it now. I'm still defensive now. I still got a bit of a chip on my shoulder because, I hate people saying like bogan. Right, I get called bogan all the time. And people mention it all the time, and they do it in a loving way. I know they don't mean anything by it, but I said the reason it annoys me. Look, I'm proud to where I'm from and everything. I said there's no positive signs when people think of bogan. They think of people that are poorly educated, racist, and all these other sort of negative things. And I said it's not like a positive thing to be calling someone, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
and was this has bogan, because I think bogan's kind of worn the edge of it's kind of worn down now, but was it quite like a really derogatory word back in the day? Well, people still even comics now, like sometimes backstage they'll joke around about things, because of how I talk and where I'm from, they see me as like extreme right wing or something, which is like total opposite to how I am. And look, I had poor education early on in life and stuff like that. I've got nothing against people like poor education stuff, but I do feel sometimes people use it in a negative
You know, and
As a put down.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some people use it in a loving way, and when people do use it in a loving way, I love it because if people are like you know, classify themselves as a bogan and say, oh, Doug, you know, I'm bogans and stuff, I feel fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I have someone that, you know, is sort of comes from like private schools, upper middle class or something like that, and will sort of say it in sort of like joke and, you know, make out like, you know, I go into like,
I still have a thing with
Pauline
private
Hanson t-shirts and, you know, it's not something like that. It's not who I am.
Misread me,
yeah.
mate.
And I still have that same thing, like the chip on the shoulder, like private school kids. As soon as I find someone's in private school, I'm like, oh yeah, you think you're fucking better than me? Even when I was in, where was I? I was fucking, was it Sydney yesterday? No, I was in regional WA. And I was getting a laugh because I was like, oh, Forestfield, most people know the town. So everyone's like, yeah. And then a few people were from that same area. They're like, oh, we're from the same area as you. I was like, oh, whereabouts? Like Kalamunda. I was like, nah, you're not the same. You're up the hill, cunt. And they're like, that's right. The shit flows down. And that's what the kids at the private schools used to say to us. The shit always flows down to the bottom of the hill. And even though the guy was 60, I was like, I want to punch this cunt in the head.
but I sort of
I didn't, but I was like, oh, let it go. Yeah.
But one thing I've learned, especially doing comedy, is when I was younger, I was very like, I'd just be very defensive.
Yeah.
I had walls up and I was very defensive, exactly like the beer. Well, you know, I used to think everybody was like against me and stuff. And,
judging you.
Yeah, and, you know, there's certain times I wouldn't be invited to parties and stuff, you know. So a lot of that sort of stayed in my subconscious. So I was had walls up and stuff. One thing that comedy taught me is that people struggle wherever they're from.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if they got in private schools, they had a wealthy upbringing and stuff. So comedy, I got to mix with everybody. And I respect everybody. And that's a great thing when sitting backstage listening to so many different people's stories. And when I first started comedy, if someone didn't talk to me, I used to say, mate, this guy doesn't like me. Yeah. That was my first go-to. So then I'd be angry at them and, you know, wouldn't talk to them and feel a bit rude and stuff. But sometimes people just socially aren't great, and sometimes people, you know, are quiet and shy and, you know, get nervous around people. So I learned to understand people, and when I sit backstage I always try to make people feel welcome and friendly. And
you do. When I did my first gig at Comics Lounge, I think you were there, and you have always been so nice to me. And like, if someone walks in the room, you jump up, you introduce yourself, you introduce them to everyone. I don't think I've ever seen you in a bad mood or not have time for people. And have you always been like that? No,
I don't think so. I think I'd try, when I first started comedy, a lot of people, again, and maybe it was me, maybe, you know, sometimes it might have been them, I don't know, but sometimes I'd go backstage and be really cold and no one would talk to you and you feel not wanted. Yeah. You know, and I'm sure everyone's felt it when you go into a comedy room. Sometimes, you know, if you don't know anyone, you feel. So, you know, I felt unwelcome at some venues and stuff like that. So I never wanted other people to feel like that. You know, so I felt like when I stopped talking to people and I was rude to people and I go, well, no one talked to me, so no one can talk to them. I was being the same. Yeah. You know, so I didn't want to be that. So,
and some people just different personalities. Some people just shy, and I try and clock that and go, hey mate, how are you?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, how are you? And, you know, and also there's always a status thing backstage as well. Like, a pecking order or what, so you just try and break it quickly. Like, hey mate, how are you?
Yeah. And
get over it.
And I think doing comedy all the time, as I said, it's comedy, I think, to last and to improve your comedy, you have to be reflective. Yeah. So you have to constantly, you know, reassess and look at everything. So as time went on, I looked at myself, and uni helped as well. When I was at uni too, again, I'm with different people and you understand different people's stories. So I said, rather than sort of perpetuate and, you know, the issues and problems, I wanted to really like change things and said.
So is that when you started, when did you go into psychology? Because you got a psychology degree.
Yeah.
And when did you decide, because you obviously have a super, like an enormous amount of empathy, like that suits you to a T going into psychology. But when did you go, this is where I want to, this suits me and this is where I want to be?
Well, I started doing, again, didn't plan to do psych. I was just doing a show, and a lady that did a thing, she used to do a program for disadvantaged youth in Footscray and Sunshine. And I was in the program. And she come to a show and she seen me afterwards and she said, you know, I can't believe you're the same person. You changed so much. Yeah. She said, you remember me? I went, yeah, but I didn't. And I said, yeah, of course I remember you, you know. And
why not?
You know, and
big fan, Steve.
And she said, I still work with disadvantaged youth and stuff. She said, yeah, and like gangs and homeless youth and stuff in the western suburbs. She said, you'd be great to be one of the workers. Would you be interested? you know, because you come from the same background. And I said, I would, but who would hire me? She said, we would. And I said, you sure? She goes, yeah. She got me details. But I've been promised so many things over the years. I go, oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
sure.
no problems. And you never get the phone call. And but then what happens is I'm home, I get a phone call, and they call me in for an interview. Now, when she said that, I thought I was just going to get the job.
Yeah,
So again, this is going to sound stupid again. I didn't realise about this. This is another work story. So I'm in the pool. It's like, I don't know, 36 degrees.
Yeah.
So the interview's at 2 o'clock. So I'm in the pool, and the interview's just down the road from my house. So I'm in the pool, it's hot. So the interview, I get out, okay, interview's in half an hour, dry myself up. I'm in my shorts, thogs, singlet. I go into the interview, everyone's in shirts. So I walk in there, I thought it was just going to be her saying, you got the job.
Yes.
There's 3 people I've never met before who are her bosses, sitting there at a table, all in shirts and stuff. I walk in, I go, I thought it was a parole board. I'm like, what's going on here? It's like, you know.
I've been here before.
And I walked in, I went, oh, hi. And they go,
Still got like a rum and coke. Little umbrella. I was in the pool. You're lucky I got out.
It's 36 degrees.
sunglasses and little me floaties on. So I did the interview, and this is funny too, because they said to me, they said, how much were you like expecting per hour? And because I've been doing, at this stage, I'd done comedy so long, and I hadn't done a normal job, and I wasn't expecting this question. In my head, I've gone, oh, how much is like a... So I said, a really like a bad gig's like, I don't know, like a cheap gig's like $100 for like, you know, what's a
20 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes or something, half an hour. So I said, oh, maybe double that. So I said, I don't know, mate, 200. They go, what? 200 an hour? I go, yeah, is that too little? Is that too little? Is that 300? They're like, what? We can't pay you that much. I go, okay, I'll do it for free. I go,
Fucking hell, you're all over it. $1,000 free. Who is this guy?
I just want the experience. I'll do it for free if you want. I don't care, right? And it's funny because I didn't realize how stupid it sounded until afterwards. And I got the job.
$1,000. Did you?
Yeah, I got the job
For free or $200?
No, they pay. I can't remember what it was, like $30 an hour or something. But so I got a job as a youth worker.
Great.
And he actually said to me, my boss Ian was a great guy. He come up to me and he said, I'll be honest with you, Doug. He said, you answered everything when you walked in. We looked at each other and we all thought the same thing at the same time. This guy's got no chance of getting this
it's a
job.
waste of time.
Yeah, he said next time you go for a job interview, just wear a shirt and some pants. Just a bit of friendly advice. Yeah, and he said, but you answered everything correctly, and we could understand because you hadn't done like a proper job interview. And you know what my resume was? A comedy CV. Because they said, bring in your resume. I said, I haven't got it, so I just got like
a coaster. These are gigs I've done.
Won the Optus Award in 98. Best
That fucking rules. My front cover had beer not just for breakfast anymore. I thought it'd be funny because I'm working in hospitality. I'm getting a laugh.
Did they love it?
No callbacks. Besides one. Yeah.
But yes, I started doing youth work. So that's how I did it. Then the program we didn't get the next tender after a couple of years. I didn't work 2 days a week. I loved it. It was the best job. And but we didn't get a tender. Then my friend I was working with, she said, because of our experience, we can get recognition and prior learning at uni.
Oh.
Yeah, do you want to come to uni with me and do a youth work degree? And I said, mate, that'd be fantastic. I've never been that, man, ooh.
Yep.
Look at me,
Yeah.
And I said, even if I don't pass, at least I can tell people, I went to uni.
Yeah.
Because did you finish year 12?
Yeah.
And then were you planning on going to uni after that?
I failed the first time.
Yep.
But I enjoyed it so much, I thought I'd do it twice.
Again.
Yeah.
You would have a go. Yeah.
So
And also, you've done all the tests before, so you remember the answers. You're fucking laughing.
Did many of your friends from high school go to uni?
No one. Anyone left in year 10. But I was the only one that went. I couldn't get me out of school. I love school.
Oh,
right. I love the
so you did
social
year
part
12
of school.
twice.
Yeah, and I passed the second time, but just squeak through. But I was a squeaker. I was happy just to squeak through.
Yeah, perfect.
Right?
The bare minimum.
And but then when I was at uni, I thought it'd be terrible because I wasn't great at school. But I'm pretty competitive. Like I don't look it, but I hate. So when we did our first assessment, I thought it was really good. And I spent a lot of time on it, but other people got better marks. So and I was like, how come I got better marks? So then I spoke. So every time I do like assessments, and anyone got a better mark, I'd go and talk to like my lecturer and stuff and try to find out how I could get better. And I'd talk to them and how,
Where do they live?
And, but believe it or not,
Is that their car out there? I've let down someone's tyres.
Yeah, but I got like 5 degrees now.
You've got 5 degrees.
And all the time I was at uni, which was nearly 9 years, there's only 1 mark I got under a distinction.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Huge nerd.
What are the 5 degrees?
One in youth work with Bachelor of the Arts. I've got a Bachelor of Science in Major Psychology Honours degree.
Holy
I've got
hell.
a Masters of Counselling, undergrad in Psych as well, and a Masters of Psychology as well.
That's a lot.
And I started my PhD.
Have you?
Yeah, but I started a while ago. But then
Yeah.
I want to go back and redo it. And I
Great.
started doing my thesis proposal.
Focusing on what?
But then I stopped.
Underprivileged kids.
No, actually, trauma is youth.
Yeah.
Youth trauma. No, comedy is a coping mechanism for youth trauma.
Holy hell! You
Yeah.
don't even have to study for that. You just have
Yeah.
to just look at around the room.
Just go to
the
any
green
open
room.
mic room. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
here
but
we
I
go.
started and I had like my supervisors and all that. But then comedy got busy and stuff, so I had
Yeah.
a break for a year.
Yeah.
But that was 9 years ago.
That's
So,
okay.
but I'd still love to go back this year or next year.
This year,
I was
next year,
thinking about
great.
applying this year for next year.
Oh, that is so impressive. And so your worst job was not in psychology at all. Your worst
No,
job
no,
was
no.
in selling, in sales.
Vacuums, yeah.
Selling
Well, I don't.
You didn't even start though.
Yeah, but
Did
I
you
would,
start?
No, I didn't. I didn't even start.
You just
It was-
left. Too cold.
Yeah, too cold.
Couldn't handle the room. Okay, that's fine. All right. So we had a salesman, a car thief, and
No, I didn't start.
that's joking. I'm joking. So you just stole your boss's car. It's different.
Yeah.
And then and then you went into psychology, and you've done comedy the entire way through. Did you
No,
stop
I've
comedy
done
at all?
beforehand. I've worked at the wharfs. I've sold hot dogs. I've worked in nightclubs. I've done security.
Yeah.
Wait, security in nightclubs, was that
I did
insane?
security. No, it was the worst ever because I really wanted to do it because when I was young I was boxed, so I wanted to do security.
Yeah.
But you stand up, my legs were aching. You stand in the one
Yeah.
spot for so long. But then I found out the barman got more money.
Oh,
So then I
great.
wanted to be a barman. So then I worked as a barman, worst barman ever, right? And cause
Drinking all the shots?
I did because I was young, right? So I was young and they had cameras and stuff. So I used to say to people, go, 2 beers. I said, okay. And I grabbed 2 Scotch and Cokes.
Yes.
And they go, no, I said beer. I said, oh, sorry about that. Then I give them 2 beers. Then when I
Great.
go take the beers in the sink, the
Yeah.
camera can see. So I tip one down. I used to go,
Very good.
Man,
Very clever.
I used to do the same all the time. It was
Yeah.
fucking real bad. You'd be like, oh, I thought you said tequila and Coke. And then you like put it near the wash tray and then just
Yeah.
slowly move it away to the back and just drink it in the cool
Yeah.
room.
Mm.
Fucking
Yeah.
maggot for free. It
It's
ruled.
very good. A friend of mine at the start of uni, she would put down 2 cocksucking cowboy shots, and then like you have to like layer those. Like it was just ridiculous. The person would be like, "No, ask for a Sav Blanc." She'd go, "I can't believe. I'll just." She was just.
Well, I can't throw it out.
That's crazy.
They're like-
But just like with the spoon, like just like the person would be like, "What the fuck is she doing?"
We know what you little cunts are doing. What my mate used to do at a bottle shop, which fucking ruled for us. So say if someone came in and bought a 6-pack of Emu Export, say a 6-pack's $20.
Yeah.
But a carton's 50. So he'd put through a carton and then he'll sell another 2 6-packs to other customers. And by the time he'd get a 6-pack for free, you know what I mean? So he'd sell it as a carton and then just
Very
wait for the
clever.
next 2. And then every shift he'd end up having like a carton's worth of piss just from different 6-packs from everything else for free. And we're like, we used to drink so much free piss, a fucking rule. But he got fired pretty quick. But they're on
He's
to him.
like they're working that out. Like
You've got to be on it, yeah. And then he's like, he'll be putting a couple of bucks in and out to make sure it broke even. I was like, man, I think you should use this brain for something else.
Yeah, it's like a
'Cause
beautiful mind's got like chalk
I can't
on
even
the
figure it
windows.
out now. It kind of makes sense. You're like, yeah, it's $80 for a 6-pack, and then he'd take cash out as well. The till, he'd be like, I got beer and cash, and I'm like,
Yeah, he
this
should've
can't
got
last
fired.
long.
When you were a nightclub security person, I remember in this would be my early 20s, all the bouncers used to bash everyone. Was that did that happen when you were a
Pretty
bouncer?
violent.
They
Yeah,
just
it was-
all
it was
just bashed-
terrible.
So bad. And
I
I
hated
don't
it,
know
yeah.
if it was just a window of time where they bashed people or that's just like forever and it's still happening. But I remember like some like young fella would just give them lip and then huge like roid rage fellas would just 2 of them would drag this tiny little fella around the corner and just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, well, what are you going to do?
Well, that's normal, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
well-
there was good people, but there was definitely like normally from what I saw anyway. Normally, there's like a couple of bad people. You know what I mean, there's a couple people just love it. They just want that.
They've
You know
got
what
the
I mean?
job for
and
that
there'd be other
reason.
people that were great and stuff like that. But as soon as something happened, they'll just want to like fight all the time. You know, but I think they've cleaned that up
hope
like
so.
so much now. Well, so do I.
I got fucking-
I've seen terrible stuff happening like King Street when I was working on there. Not just at the club I was working, because all along there was
You
like
see all this-
so many. Yeah, and you know, it was terrible. But I also did security at when I was living in London at Millwall soccer ground. The Den.
God.
Yeah, so
That would have been fucking awful.
yeah, it was cold, but because you sit there because you're cold all the time. Because security, when I was younger, I thought it'd be glamorous, you know, like security, like
Chicks want to make out with
that's
you,
it.
free drink.
You know, but you stand there so long and it's cold outside, and you're like, man, my legs used to ache.
Yeah.
I want to move around.
I remember being a smart ass to a bouncer, what are the odds, at bar 120, and he wouldn't let me in. I was like, yeah, I could fucking come in whenever. Like, I tried to move
my
past
God.
him, and he pushed me back and then just fucking kicked me like there in the chest, and I was like, oh, and I like went down on the curb, and I was all like fucked up on the ground. And then I said the most embarrassing thing ever. I was like, do you know who I am? And he goes, no, and I don't fucking care. I was like, good, because I'm nobody. and then I was just like, oh, and it was in front of like a whole line of people, and everyone was like, ah, and I was like, I didn't want to go in anyway. Fuck, I still remember that. He just fucking rinsed me. I was like, why did I do that?
That's a core memory of like humiliation.
Oh,
for
and
sure.
it was like just when I was 18 as well. I'm like, hopefully someone touches
you
my
know who I
penis.
am. What were we going to say when you were 18?
Don't know. I think I was
you
gonna.
say?
My idea was to say my dad was a lawyer or something, but then I was like, no one's believing that. Fuck.
So have you ever quit in spectacular fashion?
Besides the car,
Beside the car.
the boulder.
That is
that your best quit?
Well,
surely.
probably that when I got cold and just
That's
freaked
pretty
out.
good. Fuck this.
When-
Yeah,
when I
you
got-
like every story has ended with you quitting in spectacular fashion. So I feel like this question. I just thought maybe you've got one. And be like, yeah,
It's not even a
top
big
it.
thing. You're like, I just don't like the temperature here. You know what I mean? Not for me. Bye.
Well, actually, one of the worst jobs I had, I just realised, just thought about it then, is furniture removals.
Oh yeah, you would have done that, Brittany.
Yeah, I did it for like 4 years.
yeah, that's what I was bringing up because, man, that's a terrible job.
It's hard, and depending on the house, like
That's why.
some of the houses, you're like, I don't want to fucking be in here. It's disgusting. I've only had to walk away from one house before, but I felt bad for the lady
Why?
because there was syringes and shit on the floor, like shit.
Oh, wow.
And like
Where was
you
she
could.
moving to?
I don't even know.
Like, weren't you private? Were you private removalists?
Yeah, we're from a removalist company. Yeah.
So the government that doesn't sound
No,
like
no,
she was
but they
paying
still
for
ring
that.
up. People ring up removalist companies all the time and just don't pay. Man, the funniest one I ever did was we went to the fucking hospital has a psych ward there or something, and people are in, and we went and got the lady from I'm assuming the lady psych. We had to sign her out to help her move from her commission place or whatever. So we sign her out of the ward, and I'm like, I don't know if this is
Removalists.
right. But she's like, oh, someone's just got to sign so I can leave. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I'm like, she could have just fucked off. I don't know.
Brett.
Yeah, I just scribbled or whatever. Sign her out, get her the house. The house is fucking awful. And I'm just like, but I was like, let's just fucking do it, boys. Let's get in, let's get out. It's not going to be great. We can all go have showers, whatever. And then we move her to this new place. And I'm like, oh yeah, so it's like $300. And she's like, yeah, I don't have any money. And we're like, okay. I rang the boss. I mean, she doesn't have any money. She's on fucking hard times. Just call it. Don't worry about it. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And she's like, oh, do you mind dropping us back off at the psych place? I was like, yeah, I've got to take you back because I signed you out.
Yeah.
And then when we got to the psych place, she's like, anyway, bye.
banged
And then
out.
just fucked off. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, this is not my problem. So she's probably just out there.
Holy hell.
But that's insane.
Yeah, but see, I didn't have like places like that. What I had, I needed I think for a week, but I had this lady just watch us, like the whole time
Yeah.
moving stuff, and it was like 3 floors. This is in London, and just moving that all the furniture had like clothes. You know, you're moving dresses and man, it was
shit
stuff
on it, and you're
so
like-
heavy, and you got to like take stuff off, and you move. And she just because it's small area, you know, the small
so
places in London,
pokey.
and we're going downstairs, and she watched us the whole way. Watch the corner, and you're like, hold it, go, mate, my arms, I can't hold anymore. right? And I've got to watch this corner. We're going downstairs, and then like I've got big friggin' things, and I go, if I drop this, I'm just going to get collapsed under it. No. I hated it. So as soon as the week was done, I said, mate, I'm done.
So you do it for 1 week? I'm
done, yeah. I did that for a week.
We didn't let any psychotic women out of the house, of the hospital.
But the worst one I was thinking of was
better at it than Brady.
We had this table, and I swear to God, this table weighed like 300 kilos. We had 4 dudes on it. Couldn't lift, and there was at the time when I was deadlifting for a comp, so I was lifting like fucking big numbers, and I couldn't get this fucking thing. So we got it into the truck just, and then I said to the guys, like, how did you even get this table in? Because they imported it from Bali, and I said, how did you get this to where it is now? Because we had 4 guys, and you said you only had 2 guys. He goes, oh no, the other 2 guys, they had a crane, because it was cement through the middle. I was like, okay, and then I was like, well, the next house I can't flip, you got to flip tables like upwards.
Yeah.
And you got to rest them on one hand so you can shimmy them around corners.
So you do
and I said, it's got to have a big entrance, otherwise we're fucked. And he goes, oh, it's got to go up 2 flights of stairs. And we got to this place in Richmond, he was living next door to fucking Molly Meldrum, in that same street. And then I was like, we got to the part, I was like, man, I couldn't do it. And he fucking abused the shit out of me. I was like, no person, you need 4 guys and we can't get in around this stairway and go up around the corner. He fucking just berated me, berated the boss, just screamed at me. And I still remember the cunt, because every time it was on our way to a mate's house, and there was a dog park close by, and people would leave dog shit in their bin on the floor nearby. So I used to grab just a bag of dog shit and just put it into his mailbox every time I walked past.
And I can't remember. I don't know if you've told that story before or not, but I feel like every single episode there is a tale of vengeance. Like,
don't fuck with me is all I'm saying. Oh yeah, last week I hid someone's diabetes medication. Yeah,
he was rude to you. He was mean to you. When I had to post that on Instagram, I was like, I think we're going to have some pushback on this one. And be like, did you almost kill a man because he was rude to you?
He was a cunt. I didn't kill him. I just made him panic. Now, before we go, Doug, I got one question to ask you, because we got, you're not similar backgrounds, but I'm this year I'm trying to do more stories about stuff from my childhood. Like I got arrested in a riot when I was younger, and I'm trying to make next year's show about that. Is there anything like similar like that you're pushing yourself into, and something you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's so much. There's I started writing like I don't know, maybe like a book or series or something. I've just been writing because there's so many stories, and when you start thinking about one, you think about another, and you think about another. So I've been writing stuff down. So I want to put different, like I'm forming different routines now from basis of my life. But again, it's sort of weird. It's some stuff you want to talk about, and then sometimes you don't want to talk about stuff, and I don't know, make other people feel bad that are watching it. It's
or like, it's too fucked, because getting arrested isn't funny. Like assaulting a police officer is not funny, but now that's the challenge. How do I make that entertaining? You know, and is that a struggle you're finding, or you're just trying to find the nicer stories to go into? Yeah,
well, I've started off like on the nicer ones, but there's other stuff I want to talk about, more serious and more sort of, I don't know, where I open up more, talking about stuff that I don't even talk about to people. But it's weird that even though you don't tell other people,
you can do it on stage.
You want to say it on stage because you just want to get out. Because I think it's therapy. It's therapy, you know, and also too. Again, it's what I was saying when I was working with the disadvantaged youth is sometimes I want to say things to empower other people, you know? So if you sit there and say, you know, if you're ashamed of who you are, and if someone's watching, so well, we should be ashamed of who we are, sort of thing. So I want to be open about more things and talk about more things, so, but I do think there is that line between I don't want to be too heavy, at the same time still want to be funny, but still have a little bit of a point.
I think you're allowed to do it in a show. I think you're allowed a serious moment in a show. You've got a whole hour where you've entertained them. I think I like when there's a moment where you learn a bit more about them. You learn something more about maybe someone else's like a different background, and then it's not going to be the entire show where you're just like, this is serious, but it's. I think you're afforded that if you're doing an hour for sure.
Well, last year I did a show and went for an hour. And it was just all about stories of my life.
Great.
And it's funny because I'm sitting there.
When was that? Last year?
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
Did you just do it at Comics Lounge?
No, at the Rubber Chicken.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, when it was still going. I think it was last year, the year before.
How many times did you do it?
Just once. It was a late show.
You can do it again?
I might. I want to.
Please,
I had
I
so
would
much-
love to.
I had
Let me
so
know
much-
as well.
I had
I'd
so
love
much
to
fun
watch
doing
it.
it.
Yeah.
And the funny
See
thing
that.
is, I didn't think a lot of the stories would be funny. Like people
Yeah.
in a comedy venue would laugh at. At the end, we stayed till like I think 4 a.m. So nearly everybody in the audience stayed. We all chatted afterwards. and-
What?
yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah, no, you have to do
Yeah,
this show.
and you have to let me know when it's on. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who would attend that. Because I heard about you before I'd met you, Dougie, and it was from Claire Hooper, and she said similar vein to what Brady said at the start is his stories, you won't think they're true, but they are all true. Yeah. Like you'll just think, she goes, he's the sweetest guy. His history is out there, and it's all like none of it's made up. And I'm like, I would love to just
See you for an hour,
watch
yeah.
you at least an hour. Just tell us some of these stories. I think it'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
You're a very interesting man, Dougie.
Oh, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, guys. If you're not already on the Patreon, make sure you do. And we're going to be doing a bonus episode with Doug, and that will be in the Patreon. So, yeah, hang around, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been fired from a lot of places. I've been fired from so many places.
I went into the class one day, real bullets. Kill me.